Hello and welcome to The Base. Today we have a slightly unusual podcast. It's just myself and Morgan, and we're going to be chatting about Project 39. You may have seen on our other platforms, we have started the release of the complete project. We called it Project 39, the full collection. We filmed all the speeches now, all 39. We actually did a few speeches from the same play. So we actually filmed 42 Shakespeare monologues with many, many actors. We did it over, I think, 8 filming days in total. So we thought it was a good chance to talk a little bit about the background, the origins of the idea, and share some recollections of the filming process itself. So, Morgan, do you remember when we or you or I first had the idea for Project 39? I think it was you.
It was me, yeah. No, I don't remember where it came from actually. I think I just said to you one day, listen, mate, let's just film a speech from every single Shakespeare play and let's call it Project 39 or something like that. And you were like, yeah, that's good. And that was kind of it, really. I think we both loved Shakespeare, and we knew that he was one of the most important figures in what we were doing. And I think probably we were trying to work out like how we would get Shakespeare into what we're doing
Yeah.
with that, because we were doing play readings, new writing competitions, acting classes, all that sort of stuff, and it was difficult to work out like how we'd fit in Shakespeare to that. We could do like a live reading of one of his plays, but that might be like too long because most of them are sort of 3 hours plus, with a couple of exceptions. But yeah, that was sort of it really. And then I think it began last year in 2025. We spoke to Mikey, who's a DOP who I'd worked with on a film called Small City, and we were doing another film together. And we were really good friends, me and Mikey. And then sort of subsequently, you'd met him at a wedding, right? Which was
Well, I'd actually worked with him like 15 years ago
oh right,
on a project that none of us can actually really remember what it was. But yeah, he turned up on that first day of filming. I was like, I know you.
it wasn't from like a weird night out or something.
No, no, no. We'd actually done a short film. He'd filmed something that I'd written actually, but years and years ago. But I remember there was kind of a running joke between us for a while. We were always asking the other one, what is Project 39? Because we'd sort of teased it on our social media a little bit. And so a lot of people would ask me, what is Project 39? And I'd be like, I don't know. So I think it took us a while to finalize the idea that we would film a speech from every play. And it's exactly as you say, it was working out how do we actually do something about Shakespeare
Yeah,
that's kind of original and that's not mounting a full production, which we do want to do. And this is kind of a setup and a teaser for us really wanting to do that, to put that
yeah,
out into the universe. And then we toyed with a few ideas. Oh, do we do a kind of educational thing where we're talking you through each speech, which we ultimately didn't fully settle on, although there are some elements of that in it.
yeah.
But yeah, we got in touch with the DOP, and
So
we just kind of went for it, didn't we?
yeah,
One
we
day.
went for it. That's what. So Mikey is this amazing DOP that I've worked with, and Ollie's worked with, and was sort of a mate of mine. And I said, look, why don't we just message him going, do you want to film me and Ollie and some other actors doing some Shakespeare? And he said, yeah, listen, let me get an amazing camera. You'll have to pay for the hire, and we'll just go out and do it. And that was it. And we jumped in the car. Mikey hired the camera. I went and I went and picked it up from South London, and then I picked Mikey up in the car and you in the car at Leytonstone in the morning, East London. And we would literally we drove to Epping Forest, and we filmed the first ones we did. We filmed Hamlet, Richard II, and Oberon from Midsummer Night's Dream with me, you, and our friend Tim Faulkner. Brilliant, that's Tim Faulkner. And that was it. And we just filmed 3 of them. They looked kind of amazing. We sort of left it for a while, weren't we? Because we weren't quite sure. We were sort of thinking, are they good enough? Do we know what we're doing with this? And then we went,
And
right,
was that last year?
that was last year. That was, do you know what? That might have even been,
I think it might have been 24.
might have been the year before, you know. So we had these, yeah, man, that was, so we had them, and I think we sort of sat on them. We didn't quite know what to do with it. And then I think we did a fundraiser last year. We just put it out onto X, and someone messaged us going, I'll give you money. Like, I'll help you just to get the camera. And so it was a publishing company said, look,
Yeah.
we'll front the, so shout out to Old Sovereign Publishing, an amazing publishing company, and they do the most amazing books. So please do look into them. And they put forward just a bit of money, and it's not that much money, but they gave us enough money to hire the camera for 2 days. So we just said to Mikey, let's do it again. Mikey came to stay at my house. You know, he came over here, and we did like 2 days that day. Then we did the first day was once again in Epping Forest, and then we went to the second day. We went to got in the car and we drove down to Margate area, like sort of the coastline near Margate.
So yeah, past Cadis or Broadstairs area, wasn't it? It's weird because a few of the batches have got kind of confused in my head.
Yeah.
But this was definitely last year. I think there was a big gap between the first batch and the second. So it was very much kind of guerrilla filmmaking, wasn't it? We would like find a spot in Epping Forest. We'd in dialogue with Mikey, we'd say, yeah, these trees look kind of cool. Maybe you could just sort of creep in here, and this maybe looks like a bit like that.
And we filmed Portia on the beach. We filmed Prospero from The Tempest on the beach. We filmed Your Brilliant Timon of Athens one on the beach.
Of course, yes. And then later on the day, we did your Henry V.
We did My
Um,
Henry V, and what you know what the audience might not understand when they're watching this is that we've got a tiny little team, right? And so we are having to go right. We're walking down, going right. That looks great. Let's go there. The actors turn up. They've learnt their lines. They're ready to go. But me and Ollie, we're running this as producers and directors as well, alongside Mikey. And so we're having, not looking for sympathy, I'm just sort of saying it is quite difficult. We're having to learn our speeches, and all of a sudden we go, right, so Henry V, we're on this hillside, and I say, Mike, let's do Henry V here. Let's just get on that. And we had this brilliant shot of the kind of the sea, and Henry, and Mikey is such a brilliant, flexible, relaxed, lovely person that he's like, whatever you want to, yeah, let's do it. So he's just got the camera, and I'll sort of jump in front of the camera and go, right, we're gonna smash out Henry V along here. And it's kind of like that for all for the particularly the second batch. We were just going, or the sort of the first batch, however you want to see it, but the first proper batch.
yeah.
uh, We were we were kind of just we are just going for it a lot of the time. We just hoped we'd find somewhere good. I knew some good spots in Epping Forest, but that was it really.
So there was a bit. So behind Mikey for your Henry V,
Yeah,
I remember I was standing a little bit back from you. I remember we talked earlier about it'd be quite nice to have you like tracking and you talking to the troops, which people might have seen that. It looks really beautiful. But I remember behind you were the cliffs and the sea, but behind Mikey there were all these houses. And I remember after you'd done like a couple of takes, because it's quite full blooded. Some people came out of their houses to see what was going on.
yeah, I can see them.
And there was one bloke who was particularly like, "What the hell are they doing?" And like he came round onto the like cliff bit, and I had to go up to him and just say like, "It's fine, we're just doing Shakespeare thing. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine." But there was all that kind of marshalling that we were having to do, as well as actually doing the speeches, and yeah, tiny violins, but it's very very stressful. And actually, we hadn't fully decided that we were going to do the Timon of Athens one that I did that day.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
remember the night before you were like, or the day before you were like, I think we should try and get the timer. And I was like, up till late, like making sure I knew it because you could know a Shakespeare speech, but to know it well enough to perform it is a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
And I hadn't actually performed it before. So I was just,
You were in the bath. I remember you were in the bath.
yeah, according from the bath, going through it, university challenge on in the background. And I'm just trying to get it into my bones. You've got to just get it really deep so that you can then play with it. And we just found a nice spot, and we kind of worked out a nice little story that I could be walking away and turning back to the city with the sea behind me, and just like letting rip. And we did a few takes, and I think the one where I was properly letting rip, I think was the one we went for.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, you did really well there because a confession with Henry V is I'd actually done it at RADA years before, and it was really good. And I remember the
Did you
clip.
do it to get into Rada?
No, I didn't do it to get into RADA. I did it as one of the kind of Shakespeare performances. At some point, you have to do a speech, and I remember doing.
One verse.
It wasn't Song of Verse, it was something like that. I can't remember. There was some Shakespeare project where you had to do a speech, and I remember doing that in front of the principal, and he was like, "That was brilliant." And so I had it in there, and also like I always imagine talking to my friends. My when I was doing it, I remember doing like personalization with it. So when I was performing it in the room, I was really specific with who I was talking to, and during that speech, Henry is, he's talking to the different ranks and different soldiers that he has, and so yeah, we've sort of filmed them like we just went for it where we were. And my approach with acting often is to just go as big as you possibly can, see where the edges of this thing are, and then maybe you can come back inside, or maybe even go further. I don't know. And,
Stay out of it.
yes, so the first few takes were like completely like bellowing, screaming out to the hills, and Mikey was just kind of walking along with me. And why it's really difficult for all of us and all the actors doing this is you're trying to remember a speech, you're trying to get it word perfect, right? Which is difficult with these Shakespeare speeches, and you're also trying to get all the emotions right and all the things, what's going on with my character, who's he or she talking to, whilst getting the perfect frame with Mikey, who, bless him, is just kind of working with you as quickly as he can, hoping like technical things are working, the light is on our side, something doesn't happen there, or the other problem is like, because we're working with basic microphones because of our budget, you might do an amazing performance and the whole thing you've been holding your jumper the whole time, and so you've muffled the whole thing because
Yeah.
we don't have a sound team yet with us. So
I
you
mean,
know
we had wind issues
we
because
did.
we were right on the sea there. I remember that was a big issue actually, and we had to hide that, have people's backs to the wind, and we're also working out with Mikey like on the day we're like the rate of turnover was quite intense, and that actually gets even worse, like, or even more intense, like in the subsequent batches, where we're doing 8 a day and actors turning up, and we're going, okay, let's think of a concept for this that works. We're speaking to Mikey, saying this speech is about a guy rallying the troops or a guy leaving the city and cursing it, because Mikey like doesn't know these speeches like we do, and he's wonderfully like really up for learning about Shakespeare. He's taken this as a way of learning about Shakespeare, and sometimes it's really good. That I remember the take that worked for Timon. He said afterwards, "I actually understood what that speech was about that time." And that's quite a good sign if you're able to communicate it to someone who doesn't necessarily know the speech well. So we're in dialogue with Mikey. We started to refine this as we went on, didn't we? If we had some kind of unique angle, some kind of concept, not a big, clever concept, but just some kind of angle that made them pop. And we should say that like that first Epping day, I actually did an Angelo from Measure for Measure, which we didn't release, just wasn't really special enough. And we thought there were other speeches from Measure for Measure that we could let other actors do. So there were quite a few actually abandoned ones that we didn't think. We probably filmed like 50 in total.
Well, we did. We actually abandoned I abandoned my original Hamlet because I didn't like it. I didn't like the way I came in on the line, to be or not to be. It was too rough. I wanted to come in more to be or not to be. Or so, that is like the line that no one quite knows how to say. But I remember being like, I like it about 3 lines in, but I don't like the opening. And then so we filmed Hamlet again, uh, like 5 or 6 new versions of it. Then in review, I went back and went, actually, the first one is better, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
something kind of like kind of fun about the fact that it's rough and it's dark and it's the tree, and with just had this kind of original quality to it. Whereas I think your Richard II and Tim's were stronger pieces actually. But this is all subjective, and as actors, we're all kind of going over bits we like and bits we don't. So, but yeah, so yeah, we had those 2 days, didn't we, on the sort of first official batch, where we had some money for 2 days filming, and we had there's a couple of speeches that people have done that haven't made it through. We had a brilliant younger actor have a go at Falstaff. That didn't quite work, and he'd, bless him, learn it on the day. So we're often on set, you're performing these speeches, and in your eye line you can see an actor trying to learn one of the most famous speeches of all time, going, oh, and or an actress doing like Cleopatra on the. I mean, so it's really like the whole thing is like completely mad. But I would say this lovely thing seems to happen, is that everything does, if you try and you give everything to it, everything comes together. It comes together in one shot. You're like, that was the shot. The framing was right. The performance was right. We just got away with the sound there, and we did it. We did it. And the truth is, on film and TV sets, they spend. I mean, the amount of money they are spending on crews and people everywhere to do stuff that's far simpler than what we're doing is incredible. I'm not just blowing our own trumpet, but it is true. Like the money that everyone's getting paid, the locations department, the people who are feeding, or what's the food people?
Catering.
So there we go. That's the word. Catering.
Keep it in.
So no, yeah, keep it in. Catering, sound, I mean, everything you can imagine. The runners, the grips, the sparks, the whole crew, all of these people, drivers. Because I was the driver on Project 39. I was almost at one, probably my most prominent role in this whole thing. If you were there, was the chauffeur for all the actors and the
For
talent.
the subsequent batches, yeah, yeah.
The subsequent, particularly the last batch, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The first one was a bit easier because we could meet them there. But I still was
No, no,
driving.
no, you were.
Come on, man, come on.
No, no, I'm still, yeah, you should still get that credit at the end. We
Should
should
have.
say chauffeur Morgan Watkins. So then, so we do those batch, we get some lovely stuff, and we actually, we start putting them out after that batch.
Yeah,
We put out Henry V. We don't grade these videos initially.
we didn't.
We didn't. Um, was there a reason why we didn't, or we just didn't think we needed to?
Because I'm an idiot. That's the reason. I'm not an editor, and I just liked the way they looked, and they were like, I just had the material, and that was it. I didn't have
Yeah,
any experience with editing, and I just thought this looks pretty cool, and I put it out. I think the Henry V one is so raw and interesting, and the color of the original footage is kind of nice. It's quite grey, but it's quite nice, and that was such a hit on X. We put it out, and it just did so well online that we kind of thought, oh, it's pretty good there. Everyone seems to love these, and we just carried on going. I would then message a director friend of mine. He'd message back going, "You need to grade this, mate." And I was like, "It's too late. It's already gone." So then I started trying to grade some of the, like, about 4 or 5 into the second batch. I started trying to grade them more, and but I was working on very basic editing software, so I was beginning to grade them. I try and put some sound under it to kind of get rid of things in the background if there was problems. But ultimately, yeah, we were exposed for our lack of experience in those areas, and I think, but this is part of the charm of the project, and we're
yeah,
aware of this. We are doing what we can with nothing and trying to make something and build something, and people buy into that as well, don't they? They can sense that.
yeah. People have seen it. Hopefully, seen like the quality improve. Um, Even the sort of consistency, I think, has improved, but with the other batches. But we can get onto that.
Yeah.
So we released them like it's a like particularly the Henry Fifth, absolute massive hit. There was one. I remember you were messaging me on Sunday night going, "This is popping off, man." I think I was at a party or something like that, and I was just like checking, just notification after notification. And then I remember my timing was dropping the next day, and I remember I remember feeling really nervous that it would just be crickets and absolutely nothing, just as an ego actor thing. I remember being quite nervous about that, but it did quite well. And
Simon
so,
did really well, and it's more obscure, man. My one, like, to be
uh,
fair to you, like, it's a bit of a more complex speech, and also, like, Henry V is just so rousing, and it's so famous, that speech, and I think it really, it spoke to something in people, and
yeah, yeah.
but Timon, it's a great speech.
It's just interesting to. I think, yeah, it's quite nice to sort of talk about those actors, not to get vulnerable, but to talk about those actors like anxieties sometimes. It can happen in a stage play as well. You're like, is my scene gonna hit as hard if the previous scene has smashed it? It's like, it's a weird thing that you have to just deal with as an actor and get over. But then that gives us a load of confidence and impetus. We get some other people saying, "I'll chuck a bit of money in." Again, we're talking like very generous, but low levels for filming stuff. And I think a few months after that, maybe
Yeah,
less.
so we released that batch, and I think it was like seven. There was, how many was there? Like 12 or something to start with. Like, we probably got 12 or 14, and
Yeah, yeah,
we'd kind of released them daily, and they were doing quite well on social media and YouTube, and people were following along. And yeah, I think different people had speeches they like for different reasons, different styles. People understand it. Also, people can't always follow Shakespeare, but it was enough of a buzz for us to go, right, we need to complete this project. So we thought, what, right, we'll do the next batch, and we need to get to like 22. That was, I think, our sort of target. We need to
mhm,
another
mhm.
10 or 12, and try and raise the quality, try and get some kind of more established actors. And I think it's worth saying at this point, Ollie, that me and you were not necessarily doing this as a vehicle for me and you to do tons of Shakespeare speeches.
No,
It's
no,
it's pure logistics. It's like, we know that we haven't got the money or the organizational abilities to get actors where we need them to be and have everyone prepared. So we were like, look, I'll do Cassius, you do Timon, I'll do Henry, you do blah, 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 Richard. And so me and Ollie are kind of carrying the project at the front of it because that's just the way we had to do it. Me and Ollie are not putting ourselves in them desperately because we want kind of attention. We're just carrying the project. And I think as it went on, we could then begin to go, right, we're going to get the people in we really want for these different roles. So we knew our friend Alec Newman, fantastic actor, we said we have to get him to do Macbeth, right? And he was definitely keen to do it. And so, yeah, I think it was about like, I think we started to raise, I think we managed to raise a little bit more, and Old Sovereign Publishing said, we'll help you again. So they gave us some money. And then, yeah, when did we do the
Couple of other people. I think it was like maybe a month or two after that. And this is last year. And I think we just do 2 days again. We did Epping Forest, Hampstead Heath, and down by the river, in sort of Limehouse area. We'll get on to why in a sec, because there's a very specific reason why we did that. But we got some lovely ones. We got Sam Frencham doing Jack Cade from Henry VI,
Yeah,
which was really, really lovely. And some big actors, Naomi Frederick doing As You Like It, very, very beautiful. And it's the same kind of thing, like actors are turning up. We kind of have an hour slot where we try and get it. I mentioned Alec Newman doing Macbeth. It might be one of my favourite ones. I think he actually sort of had the perfect setup because he'd just come from the RSC doing Macbeth, but he wasn't actually playing Macbeth. And for some reason, as an actor, that is actually brilliant. When you're hearing a speech, an actor's brain just automatically goes, "Yeah, I'll do it like that. I should do it like that. I would do that line like that." So he had a lovely kind of setup, and I think it was just a one take, one day, did one take. It was absolutely flawless.
It was knackered as
And
well, wasn't he? Because bless him, he'd been on stage for like 2 months, and you could
he
see
literally just finished, didn't he?
day
Yeah.
after, and he had that. And Macbeth is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders as well. Macbeth is kind of in that place. He's hallucinating that he's seeing a is this a dagger I see before me? That was the heat oppressed brain. He says, so it was sort of perfect preparation for him to be there for that moment. And
Yeah, it was
yeah,
an amazing moment. We found a nice kind of dank green situation down on the river. It was beautiful.
yeah, I think before we go into the dank green place, I think there's a reason we're at the dank green place, and this
It's
is partly because me and Ollie had said, look, we have to get Stephen Burkov to do one of these because we're friends with Stephen Burkov, and he's an absolutely fascinating cultural figure. And we'd messaged him about doing King Lear, and he was kind of keen, but he was umming and ahhing, getting back to us, saying, "Oh, I don't know, maybe." And we were sort of going, we need to know because we had to arrange this shoot around him. If we're going to do it, we have to do it. And we knew that he lived on the Thames. There's a sort of beach next to his house. And so we thought if we get Burkoff to do King Lear, we can plan our day around that location, right? And even up to like the week before, he was saying he wasn't sure if he was going to do it, right?
been up to the day before.
The day before,
I
right?
remember we were shooting in the pergola in Hampstead Heath the day before, and he was calling you saying, "I can't learn it.
I can't
It's
remember
not
the
going to
line.
happen."
And bless him, he's like 93, and I think at one point he said that he was worried that King Lear was too old for him. I think which is very funny. Because he thinks of himself as Hamlet and Prometheus still, which I love, and I think I love that about him. But yeah, he wasn't quite sure about umming and ahhing, wasn't sure about the lines, but he did confirm like roughly the few days before, and then on the day before it was still like touch and go. And then he rang me saying, "I don't know if I can learn these lines." I said, "Look, we'll hold boards up for you. We'll get boards for you." And we turn up on the Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it was, in Limehouse. Still, at this point, to be honest with you, I was thinking, I don't know if this is going to happen. Like, no,
Because it was quite cold. It was raining a little bit, windy down on that beach. Bless him. Yeah, and he came out. I think we had gone back to the car to do something with the equipment, and actually Mikey was on the beach with the camera.
on his own.
Burke,
Yeah.
on his own. Burkov comes out. We've said at a sort of specific time, and it's just like 30 seconds from his house. He comes out, immediately sees Mikey, assumes that he's the right person, and just kind of grabs his arm. And I'm not sure if they even have a conversation, but they sort of hobble. He helps Burkov walk because he walks with a stick now, a little bit further down the beach, and then we come back because we've been getting the boards to write out blow wind and crack your cheeks. And I see him, and there's this wonderful moment where like about 50 swans kind of start crowding around Burkov because
Oh,
he goes out there every day to feed them. So they think it's feeding time. These swans are making an absolute racket. Swans are quite scary animals in some ways, but Burkov is sort of petting them and just kind of stroking them as though they're like a dog. It's kind of an amazing thing to watch. And and he's getting a bit cold. He gets a little bit annoyed with me that the boards aren't ready.
yeah. So
Uh,
we come back right, and I see this incredible image of Mikey and Burkov on the beach, just kind of walking along together. They'd never met before. A sort of wonderful image. I had to run back and get some more things, didn't I? And so
I think you're doing the boards at this point.
oh, I
If
go
I,
back and I have to write them out of the wind. That was what was happening. It was in the wind. I couldn't write them. So I go around the corner, start writing them out. Burkov's, and you go on, you tell what happened here, because this
so
is,
Burkov's having a go at me. He's like, where are the boards? And I was like, oh, Morgan's just doing them around here. He's like, you should have done this already. This is not fun, boys. He's getting cold. He just keeps saying, it's not fun. I was like, I'm so sorry, Stephen. Like, it's like I'm holding an umbrella to try and shield him from the wind and the rain, fixing him up with the mic. Um, anyway, we get in, we get the boards, and he doesn't actually need the boards. To be fair to him, in the end, he that was just a kind of security blanket for him. He knows the speech, and we do a couple of takes, and he absolutely smashes it. Um,
yeah. And he did. I remember holding the boards and watching him perform, and he wasn't looking at them. Like
no, no,
he needed them there for reassurance. And honestly, until the take has been done, I'm just thinking, is this really good? Are we going to get this? Because as I said before, it's like get all of the elements to come together at once is so difficult with the budget we've got. And there was one take I was like, that's how he's done it all. He's got, he remembered all the lines, and he's like, "Row, ballet fall," so it was amazing. And then we could kind of work from the day we went back to his house because we had a bit of time. He
cup of
then
tea.
he had a cup of tea with him and his lovely wife, and then and Mikey was there with us, and he was going into he loves doing this thing where he goes into another speech. He was like, I'm Coriolanus for you, and he'll just do a Coriolanus speech. Or then he said, I could do Charlotte. But he was also kind of like, when are we doing this again? He's got that mentality of like, it's work in progress. We're rehearsing still, right? We're going to go and have another go in a bit. And it's all, we're like, no, we're doing everything we can right now when we can, because that's the nature of the situation that me and Ollie are in as we build this whole thing. So yeah, and it was great. And then the Macbeth was done on the same. I think you scouted it with Mikey. You came back and said, look, there's this great bit down there. Let's go down there. Tim turned up, and then we were kind of like, we managed to get
He
lots.
did a brilliant Henry VIII. Did
He did Cardinal Wolsey, didn't he, from Henry VIII, right?
Yeah, yeah, very, very good performance. Very unusual speech to do, not particularly well known one, but he did it absolutely exquisitely and immaculately.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then we put those out. They do very well again, more momentum, and yeah, I think should we move on to the final
Yeah, we
batch? Is
had
there anything
someone. I
else?
think, sorry, there's someone. We had someone in America had spotted what we were doing as well and got in touch and helped us with that batch. I forgot to mention that. And so
Yeah, that was for
we
that batch, wasn't it?
yeah, we had someone in America saying, "I love what you're doing. I'll help you. And really keen." So we had a little every time we're doing the kind of the next batch, we're getting a little bit more money. We kind of
Mm.
which means we can kind of hire the camera for a couple of days. We can kind of cover some costs in certain areas. It kind of allows us to just up the production value of the entire thing. And people are supporting. They kind of go, right, I see what you're doing, want to help. And then we were thinking, right, we'll start again in February, or we'll do it as quick as we can. We'll finish the final batch. And then we started working with this wonderful woman called Carolina, and she is now a producer with us at the base. She's joined us as she's part of the company now. Now, she's come on board and she started to help us. She saw what we were doing, and she said to us, "Look, let's really try and push this final batch. Like, why don't we do a fundraiser and see if we can get some more money?" Because she said you should be getting a lot more for this, and actually, if we can organize it, we can start making real proper stuff. So we did a fundraiser on GoFundMe, and we pushed that out. I think probably like early in the year, or like maybe February we started that, I think. And
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
And people were amazingly generous. If anyone is listening who did donate, thank you so much.
thank you so much. Yeah, it's really like, yeah, it was so incredible, and thank you to everyone who shared it on X or Instagram or anywhere, because it was amazing, and we people were just chipping in, throwing in money, and we got the money, we reached our target, we went over our target actually. We had a very generous donor who really wanted to help us later on. And then we said, right, we've got this money now. Let's do the final batch and let's up the production value in every way. And we wanted to make a documentary of it as well. So we got a videographer to come with us, and he helped us. James, wonderful guy, helped us with the assisting Mikey, helping Mikey out. James is also a fantastic actor, but he didn't want to do a speech for this one because he wanted to focus on the sort of technical side of it. But effectively, we could just scale up the operations in all areas. We hired an Airbnb in Malden in Essex. So shout out to Malden and the River Blackwater. It's nice to be in the land of England, when you're doing this kind of speeches from the great English playwright. And
We'd had a scouting day, just me and you,
we'd done a
around there
recce. We'd done a
a few
recce.
weeks before.
We hired a car in Stratford, and me and Ollie drove out there. And I knew this beach. I'd seen this kind of very mystical, mad old beach called Bradwell Beach, far Essex coast, above Southend. It's very remote place, which has this incredible Anglo-Saxon church, which is literally 1,500 years old, and it's just magical,
Beautiful,
strange
isn't it?
old
Yeah,
church.
we used that for much ado about nothing, and I think you can see it in the Cymbeline speech as well.
Yeah, you can see it. That's the speech that Nye, who plays Posthumus, is leaning on. But so that's the church, and there's the watchtower, which has brilliantly found its way into quite a few of the speeches.
Mhm.
Quite a few of the
Yeah, yeah, very, very haunting image. Because we knew for this batch, in order to get the whole project completed, we were going to have to do like 6, 7, 8, 9 a day. So we had to just be very, very organized, and that's why we got the Airbnb, so we could ferry actors in, and we could just not spend time like traveling to location. We were on site or very near, and we could our full focus was on that. And in the evening, we could choose the best takes. So we set about contacting actors. We got some incredible people we've only met quite recently. Some like Zanny Benfield, wonderful actress, did a beautiful Joan of Arc. Florence Roberts, a wonderful Much Ado. Who else? Who were there? Who were
Well,
there?
I another actor I worked with years ago, good mate of mine, Ray Fearon, was an actor that I really wanted for this, and Ray is one of the best actors in the country, and Tony Sher told him that he is the best Shakespearean actor of his generation, and Ray told me that story. And but Ray's a good mate of mine. We did a film together. So I was always like, look, I really want to try and get a little bit like we wanted to get Stephen Burkoff to do King Lear. I said,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love to get Ray Fearon to do Othello for this final batch. And Ray was up for it. And we got his ticket down from Nottingham. So we could think with the extra money, we could afford to do things like that, is pay for train tickets for actors. And we could, just that those costs add up, like they add up very, very quickly, and so actors are being generous and giving us their time, but we're trying to pay for them as much as we can around the edge to make it easier for them.
Yeah,
uh
as soon as you start paying like proper stuff for equipment and stuff like that, money just goes.
you wouldn't believe how quickly
Gone.
the budget kind of spirals upwards. It's yeah, so we had Ray. I'd worked with a brilliant actor at Guildhall called Nyron Pritchard, who does a fantastic Posthumous, which I think, well, will probably be out by the time this podcast is out. But Nye's a lovely guy, Welsh, so I'm very biased towards the Welsh, as I am half Welsh. And I think Nye's going to be, a very significant talent for decades to come, in my opinion. And so I really wanted Nye to get Nye in there. So Nye was up for it. Jordan's up for it. They're brilliant actors, young and old. Nate, brilliant actor who was also lent his services as a driver on that day.
Mm.
And so we had, like, people were really mucking in. They were Nate was picking up actors, one actor in Senfield in the morning, then he'd shuffle her back, get someone else in. And I just think I want to give a big shout out to Mark Strepan if he's listening, because Mark, fantastic actor, who a very good friend of mine, he drove all the way in from, like, I think it was like Northampton. I forget where he lives, but it was like a 3 hour drive.
Quite far away. Yeah, bless him.
He drove in, turned up on the beach, he found his way to us, didn't he? He just sort of appeared on the.
I thought he was a random. I thought he was a random guy who was like just interfering with filming. I got annoyed with him, and I was like, "Oh no, he's our next
Yeah,
actor."
we've
But
got Joan of Arc on the beach, and we've got Mark's just turned up, but he just drove himself in, and then he smashed out King John, and he got back in his car and went home, and that was the Mark story on it, and so
and
yes,
with the high turnover, the number of speeches that we're doing a day, again, like just to give people an idea, it's very very taxing. Like, and we have some idea, but an actor turns up, and you have to completely recalibrate your brain and go, okay, this is the angle that we are going to go for this. And that was like, that did become very exhausting because you're trying to find just something unique, some unique like texture or flavor,
yeah,
the way the camera moves, the way the actor interacts with the camera, the way the actor is in relation to the space. You're just having to do that over and over and over and over and over again for like an hour each time. um we had Lily Hardy as well, just to mention a few of the actors who's worked with us a few times. She's wonderful. Tammy the Shrew,
Naomi,
Naomi Preston Lowe. We've
yeah,
done a few of them. Absolutely brilliant. Mary Wives of Windsor, which we didn't hold out much hope for, but actually it's kind of one of my favourites. It's
she
genuinely
made it
really
into a
funny.
classic. Farida doing Cleopatra, lovely
Yeah,
Farida.
yeah, wonderful.
But brilliant. She's got an incredible look as well. It's just, for Cleopatra, it's hard to find someone who looks as kind of as amazing as Cleopatra was supposed to. This woman from Egypt who was wooing all these kind of great figures from Rome and all over the place. So yeah, who else do we feel like we should go through them all now? We said there Jordan Reese. Who else do we have?
Tim Trelaw did a beautiful
Tim
Caesar.
Trelaw. What? Yeah, man, that's the
One.
Caesar. You've got to wait and see that one. We had, um, I mean, should we don't need to go for everyone, but Jordan Reese from Guildhall, fantastic actor, absolute pro as well. Like he's getting his speech like 2 days before, very complicated speech, and he turns up and it's like it's it is
Word
perfect.
perfect every take.
We
Yeah.
like it's really worth saying this. I think now it's like all of these actors have dedicated their lives to this craft, right? And this isn't easy to turn up and deliver a Shakespeare speech in front of a camera with on one take and get it all right. And it really does take dedication to get to that level. And it's why which Shakespeare is so important is because it demands of us more than any other medium or any other style or any other writer. It will demand more from you, and you have to be better. You have to go and meet it intellectually, spiritually, technically, all of it, right? And so all of these actors are turning up. They've been rehearsing for like a few days, and they just turn up, and the pressure's on. They've just got to film, and so it's a great buzz as well. That actors love this stuff. They want to kind of prove themselves, don't they? But it's just
Yeah, I remember Simon Thorpe, who did an amazing full staff. When I was speaking to him about it before on the phone, because I'd worked with him a few years ago, he was saying, "Yeah, this is exactly what we should be doing." Like, he was really grateful for the workout of doing a Shakespeare speech, the mental workout and physical workout, vocal workout, and so actors relish this, and this is what actors should be doing like all the time, right? And I think it's very valuable, as well as providing the content for the audiences, that we're providing this for the actors to have a proper workout on Shakespeare.
yeah, absolutely is. And yeah, we got through those 3 days. They were very tiring, and with Mikey, bless him, is carrying the camera for like those that camera is heavy. If you pick it up, you'd be like, oh my god, he's moving this around, and all 3 days in a row, me and you are having to stay focused for the directing, and chatting to actors. I'm having to get in the car in between takes. Oh, Michael, do you know how to pronounce his surname? Guckus or Guckus? Did
Brilliant.
a fantastic Aaron the Moor from Titus, which is he's a lesser known villain in Shakespeare. So I'm really glad we got that. But he was an absolute pro. He texted me like 2 days before and said, "Look, I can do it," because I wanted him, and he just turned up. And he had all these ideas. He came in his costume. He had this kind of vest on, this chain, and he just was brilliant. And he just brought so much to that. And I'm really looking forward to that one coming out. Looking forward to all of them coming out. They're just in all their different ways. I think one of the things, Ollie, which is so lovely with this project is we would say to the actors when they turn up, like, do whatever you want with it. Go, like, do whatever you want. Mikey will work with you, and then we can all work together and see if there's like another way of doing it. But really, it's like all the actors are just expressing themselves as performers in different ways, and I think there isn't one way of doing this. I don't think me and you are saying Shakespeare must be this. um, Shakespeare is, as we spoke about on a previous podcast, he is an elusive creature,
Mhm,
and if you
mhm,
try and pin anything on him, he will elude you and move beyond you. And so,
mhm.
I think as a performer, you have to acknowledge that. But
Absolutely.
yeah, those are the final 3 days, and we are in the edit now. We have an editor doing this with us. Brilliant, Headley is doing this, who is absolutely incredibly hardworking and fantastic, and he's raised the production value of this. Carolina has Bonnie as well, amazing Bonnie Poinder, who's also a brilliant actress, is helping us with social media, helping us think about how we kind of market ourselves as a company, how we push this, how we get this out to as many people. So there's a lot of people joining in and getting involved now, and it's exciting. It's exciting, really. But yeah, so we're in the process of putting this all together. And we thought we'd do this pod to go through the story of Project 39 and maybe chat about some reasons why we're doing it. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could move
yeah,
on to that now. I mean, as you were saying, Shakespeare is vast. If you read a lot, you know, we both read all the plays,
yeah.
quite a few times. We know
I
some very, very
I've
well.
read them all apart from Edward III.
I don't think I've read that one either.
Only Nate Cadman has.
Only Nate's done that.
Nate's done as well.
Um,
It's
but
disputed whether or not he wrote it, but we use that as our 39th
a,
play.
a co-authorship
Yeah.
possibly. Although weirdly, I read this yesterday. Actually, there was a guy who knew Shakespeare personally who wrote this essay who said that Shakespeare never collaborated with anyone, which is a little bit of like scholarly debate over that. Who knows? There's also one other thing I read recently that um, for this guy did an early biography of Shakespeare and actually interviewed people that Shakespeare had met. And one of the anecdotes of Shakespeare is that he'd never go out. Like people would always say, "Oh, you're coming out to the pub or whatever." Like, he'd always make an excuse and pretend he was ill. Apparently,
That
just
sounds a
so
bit
just
like you, mate.
I know. Maybe that's why it sort of resonated with me. But his range is enormous. So it's impossible to like say definitive things about him, and therefore, for an actor, like how do you perform him if he's so varied, right? There is no like one way of doing it, and we did want to showcase different styles of doing Shakespeare with this. But one thing we did want to emphasize, I think it's fair to say, is a kind of full-blooded, vital way of doing Shakespeare, which is maybe not emphasized so much in the way that Shakespeare is done at the moment. I'm not interested in like, you know, slagging people off or whatever, like, you know, everyone just crack on and do their thing. But we do want to supply that or offer that version of Shakespeare. Because some of these characters are very, very vital and live and passionate. And maybe there's a style of acting at the moment with classical text which seeks to kind of casualize things, make things a bit more informal and conversational. There's been a kind of movement over a couple of generations of wanting to make Shakespeare really accessible and understandable. And I think we're a bit more about embracing the weirdness of him, embracing the difference of him. Yeah, I think it's that was one of the kind of guiding principles behind some of the aesthetic choices.
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, who is the authority on this, right? I don't know, but we need to fight our corner where we can. I don't think you should be ad-libbing Shakespeare. I'm sorry, you shouldn't be saying, is it to be on or not to be? That is the question, right? For me, sin's a strong word. I won't say sin. That is wrong. Okay. So the iambic pentameter, the 10 beats to a line, or five stresses, 10 beats on a line, and five stresses, a second stress. That is so kind of like, it's so prevalent in the entirety of Shakespeare, right? So I just don't think you can break that. Like, I think you have to acknowledge that he's written this in a specific verse. There are debates about whether, there's an accent you might lean into. There might be a learned rather than learned or something. You might make an extra beat with the pronunciation of a word. I get that. But you have to at least say the lines, right? You have to stay to the lines. And I think you should. I think the old like verse kind of obsessive people from the olden days, maybe they were. I would perhaps say they was sort of too technical. The verse was too specific, right? But we kind of at the other side of it. I think if you break the verse too much and don't honor it, you are. It's not right actually. And I find that as an actor, and when I teach Shakespeare and I work with people, I'm like, look, you need to know this. At least you need to know it to break it, right? how do we get through to people with Shakespeare is kind of a good question, because it is really difficult. And like you said something a while ago that I think is really interesting. You said the more you study it, the more you read it, the easier it does become. And I have found that, like, we've done so much now, I can pick things up quicker. But it's complex. Like, the speeches are complex. You might hear a little bit, but when this is what you need to understand about Shakespeare. Audiences need to understand, or students, or people, or anyone, is that it requires a level of more. It requires more from you, right? But when you push yourself further and you try and understand what the poetry is, what the characters are saying, it will take you to a higher place of human experience. And that Shakespeare will lift you to places and thoughts that you didn't realize possible. And so, but it's not easy necessarily. Like, it requires study. And yeah, great actors will make it easier. And I think if the situation, the story is clearer, I think it's easier to follow, right? You've got, like, it's why some of the kind of, I think why Henry cuts through really well, the Henry V speech, is partly is because it's so blatantly situational. You know what I mean? It's like war speech, right? Whereas some of them are more cerebral, kind of explorations of the philosophical quandary that character is in at that particular point of the play. So yes, it is a challenge. But I don't think we should stupefy it. I don't think we should lower ourselves and say, oh, actually, like, what this is about is like this. You know what I mean, or that. I think. I think we've done a lot of that, and I think we should demand more. You know,
Yeah, demand
uh,
that the actors and audiences meet the text, and we don't sort of put down too much of a ramp to understanding it. So you've got to make an effort to understand it. And I was also struck by how many lists there are in these speeches. It's kind of
mm,
crazy. It's like, but I think that's the rhetorician in Shakespeare, knowing that, a list, he knows what an actor needs as well to get flow, and there's this kind of like rolling flow and accumulation of idea and emotion in all the speeches. I hadn't really realized that as much before as I did, being immersed in all these speeches. He really, yeah, he summons up this flow. It's almost like an incantation, some of these speeches.
yeah. Is that the end of the point?
Yeah.
Feeling
Otherwise, well,
I was feeling your flow there, mate. I was like, incantation. So yeah,
I
yes,
broke my
yes,
own
they are.
flow.
But you talk, yeah, the lists are kind of, and it's as an actor, those bloody lists are quite hard to remember sometimes, aren't they? You go,
Yeah,
you're rattling through the list, and it's but they they are doing this. Yeah, I think we want to put, like, we just want to kind of say, look, we are here, right? And this is he's the man. Shakespeare's the man, and we worship him. Like, we put him at the center of our culture, and he must be. And we need to bring people together around this man. Bring philosophers and intellects together around this person. Bring music around this person. Bring history around this person. It ties in so many of these worlds together. It ties in the sort of the love of antiquity, and the love of kind of English history, and the kings and monarchs, and what it means to be from a country, or what it means to not be from a country, what it might feel like if you're Othello and you're on the outside, and suddenly, are you accepted? You're high up the rank. There's all these complexities within it, but he is asking the great questions. And Harold Bloom, there's a that thing I put on X the other day. Harold Bloom said, look, Shakespeare's getting to, like, in one line, he is getting to the points that, like, Wittgenstein, Plato, Aristotle, they're trying to get towards with their thinking. I saw there was a really good, someone came back and said, you've got, Harold Bloom has no understanding of Plato to even say this, right? So, okay, let the debate begin. But he is certainly a potent, profound philosopher, Shakespeare, as well, with
yeah,
his characters. And so it ties all these worlds in, and we feel like with the base, this should be, exactly where we're at. And so I think we're stamping this forward, and they're fairly stripped back. I think we're not saying, like, this is our interpretation of this. This is what this is. I think they're clean and strong and stand alone, and we can work from there.
absolutely, absolutely. He is a philosopher. I mean, he's a very he's the most penetrating thinker who wrote in English, as I think I said in this article that we
Yeah,
know of.
yeah.
I mean, he gets to, yeah, it's sort of beyond. the highest kind of levels of philosophy sometimes. Sometimes his characters are thinking very hard. Sometimes the plays themselves in their structure are doing a lot of thinking. So yes, he's perfect, perfect for us. And just reconnecting with this language, like
Yeah,
in their stripped backness, it does kind of reveal the language. And that connects to lots of stuff we've been doing. Remember our interview with Howard Barker? He said like actors are beautiful when possessed. They become godlike when they are possessed by the highest poetic language,
yeah,
and we want to celebrate that, bring that back. Let's this kind of casual, like actor. There's no difference between the actor in the street and on the stage. No, but stage is a special place,
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh,
different place, a ritualistic space.
less is more. Just make it natural. Like, oh yeah, okay. It's been going on for 30 years now. It's so boring. These people are thick. They need to read books. Like there's not. It's not enough. I'm sorry. There's no people are just sitting there like, I'm going to be naturalistic. What? You're devoid of a soul. Like, so what are you revealing to us? Just that you're just plain. This is when Shakespeare's going. No, You have to go much higher than where you are. Soar higher. Demand more of your mind, study, think, work out syntax. It's complicated when you first encounter it, and this is what Shakespeare does to all of us. It's like, and you get it, you work with students and stuff, and they go, what on earth is he talking about? A few weeks into lessons, they are coming in, performing it, they understand it, they get it, and you're like, all of you are enriched by this experience. And so it's just absolutely, totally wonderful. I think Shakespeare does say in lines that I've read a bit of Plato. I'm reading, just finished the Laws, read Republic, read some Nietzsche. I'm sorry, but like Shakespeare does get through in one line what these like a lot of other thinkers. Just read Hamlet, just read quotes from Hamlet, just go and read different quotes from Hamlet himself. It will it will blow your mind. And
Absolutely.
and it's not, it's just, I've got this book of quotations. I've got a book of Hamlet quotations, and you just honestly, like, one after the other, you're like, "Oh my God, that's the most amazing line anyone's ever written."
Yeah, it can just suddenly just hit you with the force of, even if there's a complex bit, it can suddenly just bang with one line, and it can just kill you. All the souls that were forfeit once. Measure for measure.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So yeah, there. Listen, Shakespeare's amazing. This is probably enough for today. This is the story of Project 39, and we hope you're enjoying watching the videos. Please engage with the videos in the comment sections, or retweeting, or Instagramming, or whatever you do. We are kind of relying on you to grow this whole thing, and to kind of come on, join in with us on this kind of journey in the study of Shakespeare. So we do appreciate all the support, and yeah, and thank you to all of our funders, all the people who donated, however small it was, on GoFundMe and before, OSP, and the people who were helping us on the last ones. Just thank you, and thank you to all the brilliant actors. There's Fia Hadid. I haven't mentioned her yet. I don't. Are we missing anyone? Linda Broughton, amazing Linda Broughton. Um, Amazing Rob Goll.
Of course, yeah.
Getting any names?
I mean, part of the joy of this whole journey of the base is the people we meet along the way, the people we pick up along the way. It's wonderful. Like we have sort of got a whole new group of friends, just from doing this, which is beautiful. And it's, as we said. Remember, we said just before we did our very very first reading, which Prometheus Bound, like maybe 2.5 years ago now. We said, let's just send out this vibration of Prometheus Bound into the universe and see who hears the call and responds to it.
Yeah.
And we send out a load of stuff now, and we've got a wonderful team, wonderful group of people who've actors and producers, directors, writers who've heard the call.
They've come running, yeah. And Paul Theobald, Sam, of course, the one and only Sam C. Wilson. Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah, there's who, and I just want to know,
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Make
we've got
sure we have,
everyone.
if there's one actor we've not mentioned,
Everybody listening
very
in a
unfortunate.
in a pit of tears, waiting, when we're just all they need to hear is their name. Dominic Frisby,
Dominic Frisby,
Maximilian Stetcher. Yeah, we've got
the
Fia,
one take wonder.
the one take wonder, Maximilian, the man. We love Max. Sonny Pilgrim. Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah, have I got them?
Dino.
I've done Dino, said Dino's name, but yeah, Isabella Dempster.
Oh, How could I
Isabella Dempster, what a lovely, lovely person. And I think I think that is it. If you're the one actor we've forgotten, you need to. We need to. We'll put an announcement. We'll put your face as the podcast picture artwork. But there we go. Everyone else, thank you for following. Please follow us on all the socials. If you like what we're doing, share and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. That's the game, isn't it, on the internet? So please help us with that. Ollie, any final words?
enjoy the Shakespeare speeches. Please engage with them, share them, think about them, and yeah, thank you very much for getting involved. But we need your help as well to get this message out and get in contact with us if about anything. We always love that.
Yeah, okay. And where is the what's the quote? The quote from Iago from this moment forth. Who is that who says that?
Which quote? It's my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth.
Um, no. Okay. What is it? I got it nearly here. He says he's not from this moment. He'll speak no more. I'm going to.
Oh, from this time you demand me nothing. What you know, you know. From this time forth, I never will speak word.